Welcome back to the Chronicles, a weekly series documenting my journey to calisthenics proficiency outdoors here in Anchorage, Alaska. I have been working on my health for quite some time now, but I have really no idea just how much fat I have on. So this week, I got a BOD POD assessment done at the University of Alaska Anchorage's Human Performance Lab to find out exactly just where I stand. I'll also take you along to more workouts at the Fitlot and show one of my core routines that have become an integral part of my training. Without further ado, let's get started with Monday. Alright, what's going on? We're going to do a walk and talk this time instead of a car talk. It's Monday, and so we've got upper body on the menu, and starting off the week pretty good, I want to say. Woke up this morning, got my cardio done. Actually, the night was horrible. I didn't sleep hardly a wink, but I still was able to get up sometime before work and get my cardio done and get weighed, and I am firmly below 260. I didn't get it on camera, but maybe later in the week I'll do a weigh and get that recorded so that I can kind of put some footage behind the words. But I think we're all set. Upper body today. What's that going to look like? Well, it's going to look like the same that it always has. Pull-ups, dips, rows, and push-ups, with ideally a dead hang. And it's a cloudy, a little rainy, just under 60 here. We might get a spot of rain. I've got my nice little protector on the camera so that it doesn't take any rain damage. But I'm actually almost already here, so I'm going to get set, get warmed up, and I'll see you again for the pull-ups. Take care, man. You too, man. That went far better than expected. I think for this workout, I'm going to keep up that pace. I know I wanted to focus on intentionality, but that just feels good going at that pace. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. Maybe I'll mix it up. So next superset, I'm going to try going slower and intentional. And then on the third, I'm going to try to match the reps of the second or of the first. Let's see how that feels. These mosquitoes are relentless. Wow. That was awesome. That was good. I've tried to get both knees in here. Oh, that's weird. And that's the first half. Once again, just want to, while it's still fresh in my brain, review how I felt about those sets. First and third set were fun, so they were fun. If I were to balance fun and effort, they were both fun and intense. But the second set, doing that intentionality is challenging in a way that the faster pace is not. I think because it requires more focus, it literally takes more energy to perform like that. I think for my general practicing, that's going to be the end goal. It's really dialing in each detail of every rep for every exercise and every set, or every set and every exercise for each session. And it'll take quite a bit just to get there. So, but today it looks like I'm dealing with a fresh batch of mosquitoes. We had some fresh rain, so this swamp yonder back here is probably full of them again. And they get to plague me all freaking week long. So, as much as I wanted it to continue raining for this workout, it did not. The Lord decided to stop that for me. Oh well. Now we'll move on to inverted rows and push-ups with the dead hang to finish out, and then we'll go home, and then move on to Wednesday. So, last week on Friday I tried doing the dead hang without the gloves. I just figured it was more honest, but with the mosquito spray on them, on my hands, I think this exact same thing's going to happen. Plus I know that there's like mildew residue on the bar, and I don't have my towel with me, so I can't wipe it down. So I'm just going to use my gloves this time, and I'm not shedding the shirt though, because there's just way too many mosquitoes. So let's get this done and get out of here. I grabbed a hot pan with my left hand last night making dinner, so that was rather painful, but did it. 30 seconds. I would say a great workout, man. On to Wednesday. All right, and here I am at the UAA Human Performance Lab with Ryan, who's going to be my technician for today, administering my BOD POD test. He's going to quickly explain what the BOD POD is about and what we'll be doing today.
Alright, so this is the BOD pod. It's kind of like a escape space capsule sort of thing. You're just gonna go down to minimal clothing, tight skin fitting clothing, and then you'll sit inside the BOD pod. It'll take about 2 to 3 measurements, each about 45 to 50 seconds each. And then it'll pump air in and out, and it will figure out your body composition using air plethysmography. Yeah, and from there we can look at your results and show you the trends of where you're at.
Looks like a Saiyan space capsule.
Yep, yeah.
That's pretty sick.
And you got to put a space or like a swim cap on too.
Yeah, I saw a recent video with someone that made like a 3D printed Saiyan hair.
Oh yeah.
I wish I had done that. 3-man hair.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
So basically, I'm gonna disrobe, get down to just my undies, put on a swim cap, and get loaded into this thing, and we're just gonna watch it. Right now.
Might be a little cold.
Nah, I'm good.
Alright.
I'm actually
You're all set?
That's it?
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. We'll print up your results.
Alright. Nice. That was sick.
Yeah.
Alright, so that was the BOD pod. Now we're going to hop into the RMR test, and we're going to start with getting this mask on. Ryan is going to explain the RMR test, how it works, and why we're doing it.
Alright, so the RMR test, it's pretty simple test, but it's kind of boring. For about 20 minutes, you're going to be sitting in a chair. We'll fit you with a mask like this one, and then it will measure your the air exchange between your lungs, and then from there, and measure your substrates as well. It'll be able to determine your caloric need for the day at rest. You will be lying down, and we'll lean you back so you're kind of flat back, and then you'll be all good.
Awesome. Sounds good. Let's get this mask fitted and get to it.
Alright. So if you're a medium, we're just going to do a quick test. You're going to put your palm up to the end, and then just short breath out. Is there anywhere that feels like it's leaking? Underneath. Okay.
How about I won't fall asleep.
You wanna? I mean, you could turn them off, and I can just see if it's too dark.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just gonna go on the end there.
Once again, thank you to the UAA Human Performance Lab for administering my test, and thank you very much to Ryan for being part of this. And let's go ahead and move on to Thursday Core Mobility and Recovery.
All right, have a good one.
Okay, what is going on? It is Friday, upper body day, end of the week, and, honestly, I've started to notice something pretty consistent in that I've been consistently losing a bit of consistency every, near the end of the week, each week. This week, a lot better than others. Last week was really great. And so what my biggest focus is to really focus in on over the weekend and make sure I'm dialing in that nutrition, making sure I'm staying within my calorie restriction and tracking everything. Pardon me. That's one of the hardest things, is that once you get home and everything. I spent the day with a headache for the most part. I continue having these headaches. I believe that I am both a little underfed and dehydrated. And obviously I am, because I can barely frickin' talk, so. But that's not going to keep me from getting an awesome workout in at all. I'm still going to go and work my hardest. Now, one thing I want to touch on before we get to the Fitlot is just the intention thing. I was kind of like quoting that and trying to figure that out and all that, and going slow on the eccentric and going really hard and powerful on the concentric, and I think that might be just a little bit too much. That's too detailed at my stage. Like, just getting the rep in at my weight is probably enough. What I'm finding as I do more and more research is a common theme, which is no matter what, whether you do more reps, less reps, heavier weight, lighter weight, if you finish the set with a tiny bit in reserve, or basically you're super high, you got high intensity, you're finishing the set and you're like, man, if I was told I had to do 5 more, I could only do 2, then you've done it, you've won. Let it go. Instead, maybe focus on just your form, maybe how many reps you got in, how well you're doing with that. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to take away from it is it's more about finding out what works for you and how, because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters, right? Because if yes, I want to build muscle, but I'm in a weight loss phase. I'm not even in a cutting phase, a bulking phase. I'm in a weight loss phase. My first weight loss phase, my initial one. Like, just getting the work in at intensity are the 2 metrics that matter. Get it in, just do it, just show up, and do it hard. Intensity. That's really all that matters. How I do it, how I want to track it, how I want to do it. Those are up to me, and I think that for each person, that's going to be up to them as well. So, like, if you're someone who really feels that focusing on those things where it's like, I really want to focus on the eccentric and the concentric and yada yada yada, then cool, do that. But if you're also someone who's just like, I just want to blast these reps out and I just want volume, then do that. If you end the set with the frickin' intensity, then what difference does it really make? And you could argue it's going to make a difference with, the type of muscle you build, the quality of muscle you build, whether it's endurance or strength, pink or frickin' was it pink or white, or red or white, or pink, whatever the case is, it doesn't really matter. Because those things are really important, or not even, they're barely important later on too. Those things are important to people who are athletes, bodybuilders, or athletes and bodybuilders. Like, that's it. For the average Joe, is that really going to matter? I don't think so. I think that strength, resilience, mobility, those are the important things. Endurance, in a lot of cases, the ability to continue going. Those are really the huge things. So, long story short, I'm going to do what feels right at the time. I'm going to push as hard as I feel is appropriate. I'm going to do the reps the way that I feel is going to be best for me. And I think that what I have found personally is finding a rhythm. I like rhythms. I like a very consistent in and out of the rep. Just bang, 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 bang. And then as I get more fatigued, then, I'm going to rest for like half a second to a second at the bottom, and then take a deep breath and just hit it again as hard as I can, and do that as many times as I can. And then I do partials, and then it's like, okay, if I was told to do, and I keep this in mind, if I was told to do 5 reps and I only had 2 left in the tank, I'm gonna, then I'm done, and then I do my rest period, and then I get right back into it. And along the way, I think what I want to focus on is just bettering my form, moving towards progressions, and just kind of going from there. So there's some changes that I will make to lower body. I didn't get to do it this week because of the BOD POD test, so I'll be able to do it next week. But I think I've thought of a hack for the calf raises with these shoes on the bar, because there isn't much cushion. When I tried to use just the towel before, it didn't really work very well. So this time, I think that if I'm able to wrap a band around the bar and then put the towel on it, both of those materials together will create enough of a grippy buffer, or a grippy cushion, that I can actually get my foot onto it and use. How that's going to work in winter, I don't really know. I might have to think up a different strategy in winter. So we'll just get to that when that bridge shows up. So either way, I'm here at the Fitlot. There's a surprising number of people here. I really thought it was going to be completely empty because it just keeps raining, but well, it's Anchorage. People don't really care about the weather too much here, so I'm going to go ahead and get over there, get warmed up, and we'll get into our first sets. Alright, so before we get started, just want to go over a couple things. It's actually a pretty rainy, it's been a really rainy week. Oh, let me get in front of the camera. It's been a really rainy week. It's been very cloudy, and it's actually been pouring for a good portion of today. But of course, right now, as I'm out here working out, it's not raining. I would love to show you guys a workout where it's raining and just how I managed to get through it with a little bit of weather adversity, but yeah, only the Lord dictates what's going to happen with the weather. So, but the bar, it does, it is still, well, it's not wet where I'm going to grip it, but when it is wet, I use these anyway to help with grip. They're just basic gardening gloves. I get these at Walmart for like $3 a pop, $3 or $5. I can't remember. Anyway, it's cheap. It's cheap enough. This rubber is really awesome for gripping onto these bars, especially when they're wet. So, snag yourself a pair of these, and outdoor workouts is easy peasy lemon squeezy. So, that's one thing. Second thing is, shit, I can't remember. What was the second thing? I don't know. Like I said earlier, I've had on and off headaches all week for numerous reasons, and that kind of happened today. I lost a little bit of my discipline last night, and I think I ate maybe 2 or 3 servings of veggie straws as I wasn't supposed to, and then, what else did I eat last night? Nothing else too crazy, actually, just that, but it definitely affected my psyche, and it definitely made me feel a little bit bloated, and I don't know, after having my shake earlier today, I definitely felt a little bit bloated. So, I think I just need to get really intense with this workout. I know I have the carbs in my system, so I should be able to push pretty hard. My goal is going to be 10 reps, not 10 full reps, just 10 reps, probably 6 to 8 full reps with 2 to 3 or 2 to 4 partials is kind of the deal. And then we go over to dips, and we'll just do that 3 times in a row and head from there. I have been thinking, though, about adding a 4th set. The issue is time. So instead of adding a 4th set, I think until I decide to do so, I should just continue increasing reps, increasing the intensity. I should be getting really worn out by the end of the 3rd superset. So we'll just see how it goes, and the tweaks that I make are going to be with interest to that outcome. So let's hit it. Oh yes, I did remember. So I've been gripping the bar kind of wrong. I have calluses, of course. I think every calisthenics practitioner is going to get any weightlifter is going to get calisthenics, or calisthenics is going to get calluses. But the thing is the way you grip the bar. So if you imagine the bar running straight through here, when you're at a heavier weight and less practiced, you have a tendency to try and grab over the bar, and then your weight will drag your hand back. That friction will cause the calluses. So, I didn't really think about it before, but that's the deal. The grip strength actually comes from your hand and fingers together. And so what I found out is that what you really want when you're gripping onto the bar is not necessarily a flat top knuckle. You want kind of this diamond triangle shape. Basically, you want your main knuckle pointing upwards. And so I'm going to give that a try, see how that works. If my grip is failing, then I'm actually going to use the Versa grips once again. So I stopped using them just because they felt more like they were getting in the way more than assisting. So, but if I need that to get my full set done, then I'm going to throw them back on. So that was the second thing. So let's fucking get to it. I'm going to go a little bit wider on these ones. fucked it up. 1, 2, 3. Nope, that's it. Of course, if you have a towel, you can just wipe the fucking bar. There it is. This week's done. And I'm so exhausted. I really gotta dial in the sleep. I was supposed to call this Anchorage Sleep Center for my CPAP. Yeah, I'm supposed to get one of those. It's probably on account of my weight, but Either way, one heck of a week, I want to say. Pretty intense. Yeah, I don't really have much to say after this workout. It was pretty straightforward, intense. It definitely feels a lot more intense than trying to intentionally do these reps. It's just easier just bang them out right now. And I'm of heavy enough weight to where it just doesn't matter, so. Let's just move on to the BOD POD results and the review. I mean, I started a while ago, but this is still kind of like the starting point. So. All right, there you have the week. There's not really much to say that hasn't been said already. Monday, I obviously noticed that a few specific things that I want to improve upon being my dip form and what was the other thing? I think it was really just my dips. I didn't know that I was favoring the left side, and I'm going to try to hopefully improve upon that next week. And then to boot, I didn't really see that I wasn't going down as far as I thought I was. That's one huge takeaway from doing these videos is that I get to review and watch every single rep I do and make changes based upon what I see. And, there are a number of things that come to mind as to why I might be favoring my left. I definitely can tell that my left shoulder is weaker, if you want to put it that way, than my right. So it would be pretty natural for someone to have a slight dependence upon the opposite shoulder from the one that's weak, especially in the case of dips. But that's not how I want to build my body. I don't want to end up, like this. That would be pretty lame. So it's these small tweaks that I get to make. I'm very thankful for it, honestly. So I'm gonna try and do that next week, and we'll just see how things go. And then not much to say for Friday. I mean, it was super straightforward. I just wanted to get there, work really hard, and get done. And that's what I did. I saw that I still had some of those same inconsistencies. Dips were a little bit more consistent, but I just got there, got her done, and that was it. So, in terms of the workouts, really, this week was pretty boring. There's not really much else I can say. I really enjoyed just deciding on intensity and rather than focusing on intention. But yeah. And then showing off my core routine, that is just the Tuesday core routine, as I probably already said. But, that one's focused on strength. I won't be showing that again going forward. There's not the core workouts being at home. I want to limit how much I'm actually recording at home. My wife isn't super stoked about having my son on camera yet, and he's with me during those workouts. Oftentimes he's actually playing and working out with me, and it's actually a really enjoyable time. It's super cute. He'll get there and he'll try to do the hollow body crunches, but he just grabs his feet and pulls them back towards his head. It looks like a really, really funny V up. But it's pretty hard to keep my composure. But he actually loves being my cameraman, which is sick. So, I don't know if he continues wanting to be my mini 2.5-year-old cameraman, then I mean, what harm is there in that? But I digress. Let's move on and take a look at my BOD POD results. That's probably what we've been waiting for. So let's take a look here. I actually have them here on paper, but they're going to show up on screen while I'm taking a look here. So, some background. If you don't know, I'm 32 years old, technically 32 and a half. As of when I weighed in on this, which is interesting. I don't know how they had my weights different, but my weight was 250 and my height's 70 inches. Those are given. So I'm a 5'10" guy that's heavy and pretty fat. Now, how fat am I? Well, dun 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 dun, 31.6%. So 31.6% fat. That puts my fat mass at around 79, or I'll generalize up to 80 pounds. And my fat-free mass is surprisingly 171 pounds. I actually thought it was less. And I thought that my fat percentage was more. Now remember that this is the error, the margin for error for this one is only 2 to 3%. So if 31.6 was the median, my real fat percentage could be plus 2 or 3% or minus 2 or 3%. I'm not going to say it's minus. Let's just take that thought out of here. It's probably somewhere in between 31.6 and 34%, which, makes a lot more sense based upon how I look, how I feel, everything else. But that puts the rest of the numbers at 68.4% fat-free mass, and then my total body mass, which should equate to my weight or close to, is 250. And the resting energy expenditure, ADPE, that is an estimate. That E there means it's an estimate, I believe, based upon what the BOD POD put out. And this is an interesting number. And when we look at the RMR results, we'll want to kind of compare that, because it's amazing how this BOD POD works. Anyway, 2154 kilocalories per day. So this is what I need if I did absolutely freaking nothing. And I mean nothing. This is what I'd need to keep myself running at 100% without issues. If I were to dip below that in terms of my intake for an extended period of time, then I could come into metabolic issues. However, it was interesting. That was what I was told at the Human Performance Lab. But when I plugged this into AI, it actually said that it isn't risky to be at 2,000 or below, which was interesting. So I'm not really 100% sure what's up with that. Who's right, who's not. All I know is that these numbers can also just be used as generalizations, as long as I stay close to it, or whatever number I decide to, and depending on how I feel or how I weigh and perform, then I can make adjustments. And then it lists the total energy expenditure, and this is more realistic to what you would be, what I would be doing as a sedentary lifestyle, which would only include very little getting up, going to the bathroom, sitting most of the time in a chair, sedentary activity, easy peasy. But it puts me at 2,700, and this is just the BOD POD. This isn't a real test of my metabolic rate, but it's amazing just how close it is. So let's go ahead and check out the RMR test. That should be coming up right now. And resting energy expenditure mask. So, they fit the mask on, and this thing measures my oxygen and carbon dioxide output, as well as some of the substrates that are in them, to figure out just kind of what kind of calorie expenditure I am doing at that time. Now, prior to this test, I didn't work out more than 24 hours prior, so my energy level should have been closer to sedentary than not. But I think the key the key here to understand is that I bounced right back into activity. So this can be strongly considered my lowest number at any given time. If I'm continuing to work out, this number isn't gonna ever be a ceiling for me. It will always be something of a median or a floor, as long as I continue. But this, this resting energy expenditure 2639, and if you remember, the and this is the resting energy expenditure, which is interesting. It compares to the total energy expenditure of 2757 kilocalories per day at sedentary. Those are supposed to be roughly the same values. So the fact that they're just over 100 kilocalories different is amazing. That's crazy. Two different tests measuring completely different things. The BOD pod ended up estimating pretty darn close to what my actual RMR is. And, there's some more information about VO2 and VCO2. I'm very interested to get these numbers over to my doctors to see what they might be able to interpret from it. There might be a relationship between what they're seeing, what they can see here, and what happened when I got sick. So that would be interesting. But the next big thing that I really want to touch on is the substrates. So 91.6% fat is coming out, and then 8.4% carbohydrate oxidation, I believe. So that's what that means. And it's super interesting. What that means in layman's terms is that I'm burning a lot of fat, and not just the carbohydrates that are in my body. So, and this is in a sedentary state with just diet. And so what this really says is that, like, you can lose weight just by dieting, which is why dieting is more important than exercise. And there's like 5 million other reasons why it's more important than exercise for losing weight. But I just thought it was really cool to kind of see that. And then, my REE puts me at a fast metabolism. I never thought I would be able to say that. I have a fast metabolism, which honestly, out of all the numbers on this test, that is the most reassuring thing that I got from any of it. I don't know why. It just felt really reassuring. So, 2,639 calories for the resting. If we factor in when I put it into macro factor and I put in my activity level, I think it puts me at a TEE of around 3,300 calories. And so I organized my deficit to be about 900 calories less. So I put my max at 2,400, and rather than try to stick as close to one number as possible, I like a range. So when I've dieted before, it's just worked for me. So rather than try to be like, oh, I have to stay as close to 2,400 as possible, give yourself a couple hundred calories, either somewhere around there. I like to go low, so my range is 2,000 to 2,400. If I land somewhere in there and I get my 180 grams of protein, I've done well. That's it. And at that point, it's just a matter of clicking in, or cat's taking a shit, putting in the weight of my daily weight, and then deciding more or less based on that. And there's so much more that goes into it. Your sleep, how much salt you ate, how much water you drink, what you did the day before, and when you eat too matters. And there's so many other factors that go into what your daily weight is going to tell about your actual weight loss, that it's a cool thing to track it daily, but there's nothing to take to heart. And macro factor does it so well in that they immediately have these charts and graphs that generalizes or averages your weight inputs as well as your energy expenditure based upon what you're reporting that you're eating, and your actual weight. And it gives you a better picture of where you're actually at versus where you think you're at and where you're supposed to be. So, long story short, those are the BOD pod results. I'm really excited for them. In 3 months, I plan to set up another appointment, and so in 3 months, I want to get this done again, and that will be a really fun chapter, so that we can compare how but my numbers are now, which my numbers now are a really good starting point. It makes me wonder, though, had I gotten my BOD pod test done, chapter 0, chapter 1, I was probably like 36 to 39% body fat. I wouldn't even doubt that. And that would tell a lot about why my health was so poor. Some of the issues I was having. I wouldn't be surprised if, as I lose weight, a lot of the health issues, pain issues, all issues related to my body kind of just not went away, but lessen. I know for a fact my back pain has already begun to lessen. Thank the Lord. And I knew it was going to. But I'll get into those those feelings another time. So, what's next? Basically, keep on chugging on. Again, these numbers don't mean anything. There's nothing super actionable about it. I was already sitting between 2,000 and 2,400 calories intake per day before I did the BOD pod assessment. But what I can take away from this initial assessment is that I am doing the right thing, and that I need to trust in it. Be consistent, give it its time, and be honest. So, in a way, it's kind of like a confirmation of a validation, not a confirmation, a validation of my choices and what I'm doing. It was also super freaking cool. Like, it was so fun to go and record this. Thanks to Ryan Hausman for being a great tech to get me through all this, and for being on camera with me. That was really, really awesome. I hope that this is useful for him too. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, consider leaving a comment regarding what kind of core exercises you do to keep your core strength in check and your back nice and healthy. I will see you next week. No excuses.